Hello guys, welcome to the first tutorial of Plotly. So what is Plotly? Plotly is an open source graphic library that creates interactive charts and maps for Python, R and even JavaScript. So in this tutorial we will be working with the Python module only. So let's get into Python. So as you can see, Plotly can create different types of charts and maps. So we'll be starting with the basics, right? So let's get into the basics of charts. So the basic main advantage of Plotly over Matplotlib is the tools that Plotly provides for data analysis, right? So this is the chart provided by Plotly. So these are the tools that I'm talking about. So these are the most important tools that will help you in data analysis, right? So as you can see over here, the data and the points. So you can zoom in, like this is called zooming in, right? So you slice the data as much as you want according your requirement, right? So as you can scroll the data, the axis, as you hover the cursor over the data point, it will show you the detail of that point, the sepal width, sepal length, right? So these are all the features that Plotly provides. So we'll get to it. So let's get into the Jupyter notebook. Let's create a new notebook. As you can see, we already have the data file sales.xls, which is an Excel file. I'll provide the link for this data file in the description below. So firstly you need to install the Plotly library, right? So exclamation mark pip install Plotly, right? So this will install the Plotly library. So I have already installed it, so I'll not run that cell. So after that we need to import all the necessary libraries, right? So let's import import pandas as pd, then import Plotly as plotly dot offline as pyo. After this we need to import the dataset excel, the excel dataset, the sales.xls1, right? So df is equals to pd dot read underscore excel sales dot xls. So there are many data spreadsheet in it, so I want the third one, so I'll specify the 3. Then we'll get the df dot head. So this will provide the overview of the data. This is the top 5 rows, right? So these are the top 5 rows. So the data contains row id, order date and many more: sales, discount, profit, etc. So let's create our first chart of Plotly. So the syntax for this is pyo dot plot, right? Round, square, curly. Okay, so the curly braces is used for dictionary. So we'll define the x as the key and y as uh, the value for x key is df dot index, comma, for the y key we'll define the data we want, that is df dot sales. So when you run this column, so as you can see over here, pyo.plot, right? So when you run this cell, it will provide an HTML file of the graph. So as you can see, so this will open an HTML file. This is the graph that we created, right? So as you can see the tools over here, the download photo as png, zoom, pan, zoom in, zoom out, auto scale, reset axis, toggle spike lines, show the closest data on hover. We'll discuss all this tools, right? So as you can see, this is the data that graph that we have created on the data. So you can zoom in the data, zoom into the graph like this. You can zoom in even more, right? So this is the feature that Plotly provides, right? So when you come see this data, when you take the data point, you will get the details about it, right? So let's get this toggle spike lines, right? So it will show us the spike lines. These are the data corresponding to x and the y axis, right? So this is the spike lines. So let's turn it off, then closest data over. So when you bring the cursor to the closest data, it will show the detail of it, right? And this is compare data on hover. So we'll use this feature in the next graph, right? So when you double click on the graph, it will reset all the axes, right? Just go through and play with all these tools, you will get to know about it more. So let's create another graph. Let's create a profit and sales graph. Yes is equals to tf profit comma sales ps dot head. So we created new data frame of profit and sales. Let's create a plot. So pyo dot plot, then round, square, and curly braces. So let's define the x key and its value as df dot index, comma, the y key. We want both profit and sales, so we'll write df. Oh, we are using ps. Let's change it to ps. ps ps, right? And we'll define call. We'll define call later, and we'll define name attribute. So it will show us the uh, column with the data point belong. So we'll want call, right? So after completing the dictionary, we'll define what is call. So for call in ps dot columns, right? So this will create a graph which will have both profit and sales, right? So let's run it. So this is the graph created by it. So as you can see, the profit and sales both. The red is the sales and the blue lines are the profit. So let's zoom in, right? So this is profit and sales. Okay, so as you can see over here, there was sales of 792, but there was no profit. There was loss of minus 374.271, right? So we can use this feature compare data on hover. So as you can bring the data to cursor to the points, it will show us everything about it. So sale was this much, the profit was this much, and everything like this. You can even toggle on the spike lines, right? So this is very useful library for data analysis. You can zoom in, you can scroll through the x and the y axis, right? And when you double click on the graph, it will reset all the axes. So the